Hi, welcome back. So this is a 20K blueprint, and thank you for taking the offer of this tutorial video. My name is Murray Priestley. I'm a partner at Global Private Partners. We are a private equity firm, and we buy e-commerce companies and have various portfolio businesses around Asia and the US. So just to give you again the high level of this, I'm going to walk through what I think are the basics, just kind of basic philosophies that any good company should be following. Then we're going to walk through 8 of the key things that will increase ultimately profitability. It's what we look at for every company we acquire or we look at, even companies that we're just looking at whether we should have a relationship with, whether we should have an investment in, whether it's a partial investment or a full buyout. Part of our due diligence is to go in and hunt around for these things. Mostly we don't find them, which is good news. It means that if we put them in, that we know that we're going to get some gains. Then I'm lastly going to talk about, which is up here on the ideal and the avoid, which is the ideal things that we would look for in a company. And if we can find them, then we know that we're likely to make some money out of it. And here's the types of things that we look to avoid. If a company has these, then this is bad news. Now, you can take that as advice as to, aim to have these things and aim to avoid these things, and you're likely to have a great business. Now, as long as you actually have a business, you could be a one-person shop and still be able to take these ideas on board. And if you're able to put them in place, look, $20,000 is not really a large gain, so I'm pretty sure that you should be able to find 20 grand pretty easily. And a lot of these ideas don't really cost a lot of money to put in, and most of them cost zero to put in. And so I think if you have a big pad and a pencil nearby or pen, let's get into it and take a lot of notes, and I think you'll get some value from it. Okay, so first of all, up in the basics here. So who's your ideal client? So the whole idea of customer avatar, who are you trying to target? And a lot of people that we find just simply try to target too broadly, and therefore find it hard to advertise. They find it hard to write advertising or write marketing in a way that appeals to their ideal client. So first question is, who is your ideal client? What is that person? What are their age? Is it an 18 to 24-year-old? What are their likes? What are their dislikes? Are they male? Are they female? Are they both? Where do they hang out? What magazines do they read? What online groups do they part of? All of that is useful, especially when you get into Facebook advertising and AdWords advertising. There's so much more contextual information we now know about clients that you can target your ads really specifically. But to target your ads, you need to know who is that ideal client. And it's just one of those things that we find that most companies we look at really are just trying to target too broadly. If you can target more specifically, you can learn the language that client is looking for. Because a female at 18 speaks differently than a male at 50. And so they hang out in different places. You could advertise on Snapchat if you're looking for a female at 18 to 20 years old, whereas a male at 50 would ask you, what is Snapchat? So first point, who is your ideal client? Second point, optimization. So this is more a philosophy that you have in the business, that you're constantly looking to improve all your processes. And we'll go through systemization and everything else quite soon, but it's this overall view that everything can be optimized. If you have, let's think of web businesses where you have a landing page. Well, is that landing page optimized? Are you running split tests? If you're running, multiple versions of that landing page in order to see which one performs better? And then, whatever step you have in the process between a customer first engaging with you at, say, a marketing level, looking at an ad or looking at an email, and all the way through to them giving you money and that money going into your bank, every step of that way, you should be able to optimize and constantly be looking to optimize that. And I think that's going to come out as we talk about some of the other areas. So the next point is leverage. What are the leverage points in the business? Another way of thinking about that is if you think of the business as let's say plumbing. Think of a house and think of the plumbing in the house. You've got all the bathrooms and the showers and the toilets. Whatever you have, you've got connected to plumbing. And so when you get a blockage somewhere, things don't work as well. Taps don't work as well. Water doesn't come out as fast because you have a blockage. So constantly in a business, we like to map out what is the flow of activity, what is the flow of work from endpoint to endpoint, and then look to where are the points where it's likely to be throttled or choked or slowed down in some way. And if you can go through and identify where those points are, and then unclog them, so to speak, fix them, then things flow a lot better. But as you do that exercise, you'll find that there's points in the business that if you can apply a little bit of thinking to, a little bit of leverage, a little bit of scale, that the business grows tremendously. And there's a couple of those points that are going to come out in the rest of our discussion, where simply by what I'm going to show you a thing called a slack adjuster, whereas making an offer that is significantly higher than any other offer you have, that you will find somebody in your customer base will buy it from you. And that's a leverage point, because suddenly that could make you 3 times more profitable all in one sale. And so very important to look out for leverage points. Next overall philosophy is 80-20 rule. And you've heard about this, 80% of people end up giving you about 20% of your money. Or on the other side, of course, the more important is that about 20% of your customers will generate about 80% of your profits. Now, look, it may not be exactly 80-20. I've seen one where it was like 96-4, 90-10. But ultimately, the point is that a small percentage of things that happen in the business have the biggest impact. And so we constantly look at things that are going on and think, all right, well, if we're running, for example, let's just say you're running advertising and you're running it on Facebook or Google or wherever you can see the impact of multiple ads. If you're running 20 different types of ads, I will guarantee you that 20% or so of them will perform a lot better than the others. And so the idea is to shut off the other ones and then put more money into the ones that are working. That gives you a greater leverage. But you can look at that in many ways. Customer service wise, 20% of your customers will be generating 80% of the effort that goes into providing customer service. So, what can you do to support those customers in a way that lessens the impact on your staff? Can you put in better FAQs? Can you put in some sort of automation for getting support in order to lessen the impact to the support team? So you can use it in both ways, both focusing on how can I make more profit, and likewise on the other side, how can I reduce some expenses. Next major point is split testing. Split testing is call it the art as opposed to the science. Probably is a science, but I think it's an art because you never know what people are going to like. Split testing is, say, running 2 different versions of an ad to determine which, say, graphic or which headline people like the best. And there's so many great examples where what you think is what customers will like, in fact, will be completely wrong, and what they actually like is something else. We've run ads where, we've had lifestyle images in the ad, and then we've replaced it with a cartoon image, and the cartoon image has generated twice the results. And I would have thought, hold on, to the customer audience that we're looking at, which is an older group in this case, why would they like cartoons? Well, who cares why they like cartoons? They just do. And therefore, our advertising was a lot more effective when we changed it to cartoons. So split testing, along with optimization, go hand in hand. So split testing every step of the way, headlines, even just asking customers who walk into your, say, if you've got a retail store, you just walk into your store and say, ask them, the cash register as they're buying and they've handed you the money, then ask them, what prompted you to come in? Did you like the? Did you see the ad that we were running? What did you like about the ad? Just good basic conversation can sometimes get the answers you want. But since this blueprint is more about online retail, then you split test everything. Everything's online. All your ads, all your landing pages, all your thank you pages, your upsells, everything can be split tested. And effectively doing that is really what optimization is all about. Next overall theme is systemization. So this is the art of ensuring that every part of your process is documented in such a way that somebody else can do it. And we use a lot of teams overseas, outsourced teams, because of reduce of cost of operation. We've looked at many businesses where they had all of the staff, say, in one location, and a lot of those staff are highly expensive and not that effective. So one way is to start outsourcing some of that work. That may not be right for everybody, but certainly in the online world, it's more prevalent than normal. But to do that effectively, you need to be able to be fully systemized. This whole idea of parallel processing is really a false marketing. If you had 5 things that you need to be doing, then one of the great things, and there's a great book called The One Thing, is to decide on the day, what is the one thing that I need to do today that will basically get me towards my goals? And what is that most important thing? And just do it first. You'll find that some people are morning people, some people are afternoon people, some people are night people. Whatever you are, when you sit down to work, just decide what is the one thing that you really need to do. And if you've got it done, you're going to make the greatest impact. Now, don't make it something that's going to take you a week. Break it down into what's something you can do in, say, the next couple of hours that is going to move you forward. As I said before, if I had 5 things to do, if I did a little bit of 1, and then a little bit of 2, a little bit of 3, a little bit of 4, a little bit of 5, and then I swung back to 1 again, and then went down 3 to 5, and I went back to 1 again, and maybe that took 3 goes at each one of them to move them forward, then it's going to take me a long time before I get number 1 finished. And then I get number 2 finished, then I get number 3 finished. If you just did all of number 1, do step 1, 2 and 3 for number 1, and then when number 1's finished, then you started step 2 and did the 3 steps of step 2, and then that was finished, then you actually got 1 finished, 2 finished, then 3 finished way faster, which brings you money faster. As a general rule, you're a business owner, you're working on stuff in order to bring money in. So I would implore you to think about how to not have all your efforts on trying to do things in parallel. Okay, so that said, they are the major things that I think are related to all businesses. They're more conceptual. They're just overall points to be considering all the time. If you are sitting there wondering what to do one day, then just look at this little list and go, 80-20. How can I look at some of the work that I'm doing on an 80-20 basis? Maybe I can figure out who are the 20% of my clients that are the biggest pain in the ass. That's a technical term, of course, for the ones that cause you the most problems. Maybe I should just sack them. That's a completely viable thing to do. Sack the bottom 20% that cause you the biggest problems. What you're doing there energetically is opening up for 20% of customers to come in that are actually much better suited to the company. You'll find you'll be more profitable straight away. But again, just high-level points, suddenly worthy of having a look. Okay, so let's figure out how to zoom in here so I can show you a little bit more. So let's look at the first of the 8 things. How do we increase the number of customers? Let's face it, this whole of the 8 is very much around increasing the number of customers, increasing their engagement, so you then convert them, you increase their transaction size, and if we scroll down a little bit here, increase the number of purchases they make from you, increase your profit margin relating back to cost, increase the retention rate so they don't go away, increasing the referral rate. If you combine them all together, you have something very powerful on the sales side. If, for example, and I think I said it in the little video prior, that if we just had say, increase the transaction size, increase the number of purchases people make, and increase the number of customers. Those basic three things, which most marketing guys will tell you are the main three things anyway. If you increase them all by 10%, you get slightly better than a 30% gain, because it's really 10%. So your 100% of sales becomes 110%. Then you increase that by 10%, so now you're up to like 121%. Then you increase that again, and now you're up to like 133% or 132.5%, whatever the number is. So you get a multiplier effect, and with 8 things to concentrate on, if you can increase them all by 10%, you are well in front. And so it's certainly pretty cool not to look at doing one thing here, but to try and stack them. Stack more than one thing in your favour. So what are we talking about? How do we increase the number of customers? First thing we see a lot is that companies don't really have a great customer database. Sounds stupid. In the online world, you would think that's mandatory, that you're building customer databases. And nowadays, of course, there's more than just an email database. You can look at building custom audiences, Facebook custom audiences. You can look at building Twitter audiences. You can look at building quite a lot of other types of audience, which allows you to then take advantage of advertising like retargeting on Facebook, for example. But by having and building a customer database, you're building an asset. And you want to sell your business, then having an asset is certainly pretty critical. So whatever you can do to increase the customer database, that might just simply mean that you make it mandatory that people give you an email address if they want to come and look at something on your site. Obviously, more people look than buy. So, but if you pixeled your database, you pixeled your website, then you could build a custom audience on Facebook faster than you would build your email list. And that has a lot of advantages. And we'll talk about that in a second. But whatever you can do to build the customer database is critical. Facebook advertising. Nowadays, Facebook is becoming like if you're not advertising on Facebook, you're pretty much going backwards in the online world. The whole concept of retargeting, lookalike audiences, custom audiences is really phenomenal, and what they've done there is really great stuff for just about any business. I mean, local advertising, is certainly something that's very easy to do. It's different to Google with AdWords. It's not keyword related. It's more behaviour related, and it's sort of contextual. So we can find out what people have been doing, and then based on what they've been doing, we can decide to advertise to them or not. And we can follow them around the internet with retargeting, which is again something that is quite unique, easy to do, and is definitely worthwhile. We look at it on the basis of about 70% of your advertising spend should go to new customers, because you can just simply buy traffic, and that's certainly critical. Yes, that costs money. You can do it more cost effectively. You don't need to be spending hundreds of dollars a day. You can do it for $10 a day, $5 a day, depending on where what audience you're looking for. Going back to your customer avatar again, if that avatar is quite specific, then you can probably get away with quite cheap advertising. So 20% of our advertising spend goes to advertise to current clients, and then 10% goes to retargeting. And so retargeting is very cost effective. So if you drop a pixel on your site, at the very least, you can drop pixels on every page, and so you can target, effectively you can segment your custom audience based on what are they reading. Are they going to read information on your blog? Are they reading this particular blog post that you put up? You can then, with a custom audience, you can then start doing a retargeting ad based on a combination of, well, I want to target people who've been to my website but didn't actually buy anything within the last 60 days. And so, there's your way of tapping into the people who didn't buy anything. Because, I would have said, again, only 2% of people approximately who come to your website will buy something. So there's 98% of people that didn't. So you'd have no idea why not. but you can learn a little bit and with their custom audience and be able to target them. Look, maybe I know one of the things we do in some of the e-commerce stores is if they go to our Shopify store and they don't buy, well, we can immediately pull up and do some advertising to show them that that same product is available on Amazon or available on Rakuten. Therefore, they might have thought the Shopify looked a bit dodgy, so you go and use another store. So again, retargeting is really quite effective. AdWords, I believe I'm not as an expert on AdWords, but because it's keyword related, you can certainly target people who are looking to buy or looking to, they're typing in the words that they're trying to find out. So they're looking for information. So in your marketing funnel, you can certainly target that top of funnel type person who's sort of looking for information. But I think with Facebook, you can drill down a little more and you can target the middle of funnel and bottom of funnel type person. And so in combination, this is quite effective. Another way to increase customers is lead magnet. And I think it's called a number of things in a number of places, but offering something that has no cost or very little cost as a giveaway in order to build your database. So we might give away, for example, well, you followed this process, then the blueprint, the 20K blueprint itself was a giveaway. It's a lead magnet. And so it has very little barrier to entry. It's a very valuable tool and you can give it away. It doesn't cost anything. It costs intellectual property, of course, but that's not a problem. There's many things you can give away. We know of some physical product, online stores that are giving away physical product that they buy for 50 cents, and they can mail it for $1.50, so it's costing them $2 to get a name on a database. Well, you might find that's actually cheap compared to how you've been doing it before. So, highly recommend having lead magnets, and pretty much. If you look around your store, there'll be something on your store that you could give away in order to get a person on your database and then to be able to make them offers and have them starting to feel comfortable about dealing with you, which increases the number of customers you have. So next thing, strategic alliances. So how can you be forming alliances with other businesses that can help you? Now, this one and the next one, host beneficiary, goes hand in hand because we have a firm belief that there is no such thing as competition. There is only co-opetition, which is the ability for two competitors to actually work together. For example, if I had a database and let's say I had 100,000 names on that database and 10,000 of those names were people who purchased from me. Well, why wouldn't I run an offer for one of my competitors' products to the other 90,000 people that didn't buy from my store? Because they may buy in the future, but I'm not sure. But why not offer them additional value by offering them another product that just happens to come from somebody else? It can be your competitor. It can be another strategic alliance. If you understand who your customers are, who's on that database, what are they interested in, there's many things that you potentially can sell. Become an affiliate and start making some money out of the people who didn't buy, which is usually the majority of the people. So there's definitely good ways to think about strategy or strategic alliances. So host beneficiary relationships. Look, host beneficiary, at the end of the day, if you're a smaller business, then a bigger business, like let's say a Walmart is going to be a bigger business than most of everyone who's listening to this video or watching the video. So, is there a deal you can do with a bigger company to help them in some way? And it again may take a lot more work to do something like that, but you might have something that the bigger company would like as part of their thing, and if you can tap into their list and they make an offer to their list, then you could be doubling or trebling your customers in a week. As I said, harder to do, got to get out and talk to people. But if you can make a deal like that come off, then that's a highly prized thing. Okay, let's look at the second point here, which is increasing sales engagement. So again, if you're in a retail store, generally you have a chance of talking to a customer. They walk in the door, you can say hello, can I help you, whatever, and you engage in some dialogue. So how can you do that online? How can you have a more meaningful communication with a customer, which gets them to like you? At the end of the day, people buy from people that they like. So in the online world, you can use chat, you can use just little things, graphic images, little testimonial type words on the website in order to capture what a customer is looking for, giving the customer something to read that gives them a feeling that you are a real person. Simply having a phone number on your website is you increase sales engagement. Giving the customers more way to buy, making it easy for them to buy. Not making it that they've got to run through 3 different levels of screens in order to make a purchase. Things like that is about how to make the sales interaction and the communications better, which increases engagement, which therefore will increase the number of sales that you make. So third thing here is increasing the conversion rate. So what you want, first of all, if you're an offline store here, increasing the sales skills of all staff, it goes hands down. Anybody who's dealing directly with customers, basic level of sales training is paramount. So what does that mean in the online world? Well, certainly live chat and being able to have support people and the people who are providing chat have some sense of sales skill. Give them the ability to, be able to interact with a customer. Give them the ability to be able to, deal with an issue and resolve it successfully. If you've got the phone number on the website, then of course you'd now telesales. You'd be dealing directly with customers. Say hello, find out about them, find out their name, call them by their name. There's so many things you can do to just make, get back to human. Humans are used to dealing with other humans. So online is quite odd. However, the more that you can make online like a good human-to-human interaction, the better you will be at converting. Okay, acquire customers at break even on the front end and making a profit on the back end. This is a really good age-old one of advertising. So a lot of people expect that you advertise and you give somebody an offer, and that offer has a price to it, and that price, let's say you spend $100 in advertising, that you're trying to look to make $100 back or more as fast as possible. Well, okay, let's look at, here's a couple of basic things. One is he who can acquire the customer for the least amount of money in the long term will usually win. So if you can, as we talked about a lead magnet, if you can give away something, the cost of acquisition is actually quite low. So if you can give away something to get somebody on your database, and then let's say 10% of those people then go on to buy something, the next thing, you might find your cost of acquisition is actually lower than if you try and sell that higher priced item first. So let's say you've got a $50 item. So what about if you start selling a $10 item first, and then move to then sell a $20 item second, and then maybe a $50 item third, as opposed to trying to sell a $50 item straight away. Again, a little bit of Excel calculations here to work it out, but by and by, most of the time, if you've got a lower priced product that you can use to entice somebody to come to your store, and then do a one-time upsell, one-click upsell or something of that nature, which then allows them, a percentage of people will buy, that is a huge benefit to you. So what you're doing then is you're monetizing as close as possible to the front in order to have more people in your database that you can then sell to at the back end. And again, we're going to cover more of that as we run around here. You'll see a lot of the sales that we make are generally at the back end, and that's where the profit's made. So we'd prefer to give away something at the front in order to get more people that are interested, and then let them find their own way by buying different products and services throughout the buying cycle. What about simply just guaranteeing a purchase? Risk reversal is, take the risk away from the client. You're an online store. If they walked into into your retail store, they can hold the product, they can feel it, they can see that it's got something to it. So, what about just simply saying that, look at Zappos. Zappos, you go buy shoes, and they send you a bag to say if the shoes don't fit, just send them back, and we'll get you another pair. There's stores that will send you 2 or 3 different dresses, and you try on the ones you like and you return the ones you don't like. So they're taking away the risk of dealing online for that customer. And so highly, highly effective. So whatever you can do to guarantee the products that you're selling, at the very least, simply just guarantee for a year that the products that you're selling will work, and if they don't work, that you'll simply replace them or refund them. I mean, it's the amount of people who actually will abuse that is quite small compared to the extra number of people you're going to get because you've guaranteed the purchase. Again, advertising comes up in a lot of places, but you want to increase conversion rate, have better advertising. Constantly be optimising your ads, constantly be looking at the click-through rates, constantly be looking at conversion rates of your advertising, and constantly split test in order to try and tap into the ads that really, you'll find you'll run one ad that suddenly will just kill it compared to other ads. But you've just got to keep testing it. You can't just run one ad and expect everything to work. So let's have a look down here. So let me just move this. So now we're up to increasing the average transaction size. So somebody's coming in and you've got, you know that your average transaction size is say $40. So what can you do to increase that? Typically, let's say you've got a $40 product and pretty much everyone comes in and buys that one product. Well, so what else have you got? What other products can you upsell? What can you cross-sell? You've heard the McDonald's, would you like fries with that? People come in to buy a burger, would you like fries with it? It doesn't take much to just add one thing, which happens to be a highly profitable item. We can tell you that adding a t-shirt to pretty much any sale in the world will increase your average transaction size. You say, here's my $40, but for $50, we'll include this t-shirt that's custom. It's got this beautiful design on it, whatever. Whereas that t-shirt's cost you $2, and so your actual profitability has gone up, but your average transaction size is now at $50, or it's $48. Let's say, a percentage of people take you up on that upsell. Upsell, cross-sell. What else can you do? Can you bundle? Can you right at the time that people are buying, there's all these plugins and everything for that with WooCommerce, with Shopify, to do one-click upsells. You can do an upsell, then if they don't take that, you can do a downsell. It's quite a sophisticated flow if you wanted to get into doing that. But at the very least, if somebody's said, I want to buy that product, do a one-click upsell that says, well, hey, would you like to buy the same product again? So you've now got 2 of them, but the second one is slightly discounted. At the very least, that increases your average transaction size because some percentage, whether it's 10% or 20%, will buy that second product. And if you're not doing that, you're leaving money on the table. It's as simple as that. So what can you do to package products or services together? Can you sell, if you're selling a product, can you also include a gift voucher? Can you include a voucher for training? Can you include something else that they want and it makes meaningful sense to be added to that product? And then sell that as a package. Tripwire. So Tripwire, if we go back to a lead magnet is something that is a giveaway product. A Tripwire is the one-click upsell to somebody who takes up the lead magnet. So in this case, the Tripwire was this video. So the blueprint was the lead magnet. The Tripwire was for $9 was the video tutorial. So it's a low price, but now in our database we have a list of people who took the blueprint only, and we have a separate list, a segmented list of the people who took the blueprint plus the tutorial video. So which database do you think would be more meaningful to be able to market to going forward? Of course, both, but the one where people pulled out a credit card and used it is much more meaningful than the one where people just took the blueprint for free. So, what can you do? What can you add as a tripwire product to be able to then entice, more people to come in and become a customer of yours by buying something? Now, a slack adjuster is what I call it's certainly an upsell. It's a product that you have that is literally 10 times what you would normally sell. So if you sell a $50 product, this is a $500 product. And again, we've used this successfully in cafes, where we've bought a cafe and then had, the cafe products, coffees, just little snacks, little cakes, whatever the cafe would sell. But what we did is ensured that the owner went to a store and purchased these most beautiful, beautiful cakes that were spectacular. So instead of being a $2 item to buy a cake or a $3 item, this was like a $20 cake. And by then advertising it specially at the store to say this is the special cake of the day, and every cafe table had this little beautiful story that explained how this was beautifully handmade and it was used all these exotic ingredients and whatever that was, then guess what? A percentage of people decided to buy that cake. And so, that's all you've really got to, you just need to come up with a product or a service or something that is significantly, whether it's 10 times or 5 times, probably doesn't matter that much. What matters is it's significantly more expensive, probably has a lot more profit included in it, but what it does is a percentage of people will take it purely because you're offering it, and it will increase your average transaction size. So the next one is simply increasing your price. And most people just completely shudder at this fact. We know of effectively a hedge fund in the US that simply invests in companies and then makes those companies increase their prices. That's it. That's all they do. And you think, wow, that sounds pretty simple. It is. It's very simple. The psychology of increasing your price is with the owner. It's not with the customer. And let's have a look at a couple of ways to do that. So when you look at the product that people are buying, are you describing it in a way that really takes advantage and shows the customer the true benefit that product will bring them or that service will bring them? Simply by describing it better allows you to put the price up because you're reminding the customer of how much benefits they're going to get from this product. How do you valueize? Which is, how do you describe what this product does that's valuable to the customer? Much more valuable. That is highly important. So free focus factor. If you have a product and you say have a trial version of the product, that gives people a chance to actually test it out. Well, I would put the price up of all of the products you're offering for trial, because now the customer gets a chance to actually try it all out for themselves, so they can see the value more than you describing the value. Therefore, there's no reason why the price can't be higher, because the barrier to entry is lower because you've decided to give them a free trial. And then the total return engine is in, look, what ultimately, how is this customer going to get a return on this particular product? Is the return tangible? Is it intangible? Whatever it is if you think in terms of, if you buy this $100 product and you use it, well, let me give you a great example. You bought this video for $9. So if this video saves you, causes you to actually go and do some work and you are able to save $10, well, this video is worth it, isn't it? Well, but this video could probably save you 20, depends on how big the company is, could be $200,000. Well, therefore the price is like irrelevant. $9 is just, a spit in the ocean. So, in theory, we could have offered a much a video series that could have been $5,000, and it would still be, the total return engine would tell you that you could still get this huge benefit. But the trouble is, of course, in pitching something like a video series, it's a little harder to articulate the true value. So by just taking people along a journey and then showing them how they can get their return is where it gives you the chance to increase your price. And at the end of the day, here's what's going to happen. You'll increase the price and you will lose some customers. And you think, oh, well, that's bad. Well, no, because the profit you make by increasing your price far will supersede that of the lack of revenue and the profit contribution of the customers who decide to leave you. And going back to the point of 80-20 rule, chances are the customers that leave you are the customers you probably didn't want to have in the first place, which will end up costing you rather than adding to profit. So my challenge to you is just go put your prices up at least 10%. You could probably put them up 20% and nobody would actually care. No one would know. How about selling luxury? You want to increase average transaction size. Change your product offering or start targeting that this product is made for a more upmarket or more luxury end of the market. We have a client that we work with who is into the, let's call it the luxury pet market. And so, if I wanted to buy a dog collar, I could walk down and I could buy one for, $10. But, if I wanted to buy a diamond encrusted one, or fake diamond or whatever, it's made out of better leather, it's made out of, Italian leather, it's got brass on it, it's got this, it might be $40. And has the cost changed? Well, the $10 product probably cost $2 and the $40 product maybe cost $4. And so the margin is huge. So you've got so much more opportunity if you actually target somebody who is willing to spend a little bit more. And I would do that anyway. If you've just add, whatever product you're selling, just add a more upmarket version of that product across all of your lines. Just do it on one line to start with and watch what happens. You just target, if somebody can see that they can buy a $5, toilet, child's potty trainer versus a $20, you might find more people buy the $20 one simply because they think it's better, because it's been targeted to a more upmarket audience. What about buying in bulk? Again, we deal with somebody who sells socks. Well, you're better off selling one sock, obviously you mean one pair of socks. So, one pair, or what about you just bundle 5 pairs, 10 pairs, 20 pairs? So I can tell you right now that you get an immediate gain simply by offering the customer, say, 3 different options. You can buy 1, 5 or 10. And you make the prices vary in as much as that if you buy one by itself, it's more expensive on a per unit basis. And people can see value. People don't want 1 pair of socks, they really want about 5 or 10. So give them what they want and give them a view of it. In the cosmetics market, if you're selling certain products to males in cosmetics, they don't want to come into the store, they don't want to keep buying a lot. They're not thinking that way. So you're better off saying, here's 3 months worth and 6 months worth. So they'll buy 6 months worth, so they have to think about it for another 6 months. Whereas if you're selling to a female, again, they'll see value. They may buy the 3-month version, but since they like the process of buying, as a general rule, don't quote me, they won't buy the really big one. So again, always offer a bulk, allow them to buy in bulk. You want to increase the transaction size. If you've got anything to do with services, then start a mastermind group. It is one thing that you can, if you've got a group of people that buy from you, and you get your database out and you figure out who's bought the most amount of products from you, and then you start to see that it's probably 5 or 10 people, then there would be an advantage in you getting those 5 or 10 people, say at a cocktail party one day, just to talk and meet with each other. A lot of people will pay good money to be in a group like that. Here's another way to look at a group like that. one of the big cosmetic houses that sells products for, down to like $10, $20, but also up to $1,000. When they have a new release of products, they basically send an invite out to all of their top customers in the particular area, let's say the city, let's say Los Angeles, and you send it out to everyone, and maybe you pull 300 people into a room, you provide some champagne and whatever, and then you release your new $1,000 product. Since you know these are your top buying customers, then you'll find that you will sell a lot of $1,000 products all into one time. And if you can pull that off in an event or a conference or something where you're bringing people together, people like to hang out with people who are like them. So you can definitely charge a lot to run mastermind groups or run conferences or provide an environment where you can sell a lot of high-priced products, which runs into the last thing, which is just organise a live event or some live training. Get people to pay to come to a training session. Again, they get to hang out with people who are like them, which is fabulous. So increasing the number of purchases. So now you've increased the average transaction size. Now you want them to come back more often. So like I was saying about the socks, if they're buying in bulk and they're buying 6 months worth, then they've got to come back again to buy the next 6 months worth. So that means they've got to buy twice per year. If they buy it monthly, they've got to buy it 12 times per year. And obviously you can count the individual units. But if you can obviously sell consumable products or something where people have to repeat buy, then that's a way of increasing total sales. So another way to get people to buy more often is everything you send out to them on an email or an invoice or whatever you have as a way of communicating to them, slip in an offer. Put an offer in that allows them to click on the offer and buy something. Like, do not send anything to a customer without an offer for something else in it. That's probably the easiest rule. Reactivate old or dead clients. Run an email campaign specifically to people who are on your list that haven't bought in the last 90 days. Give them an offer. Here's one for you. You run one campaign. If they haven't bought in the last, say, 60 days, here's a 20% coupon discount to come into the store or use our online store to buy something. If they still haven't responded to that within 30 days, send them another one and say, hey, we really do want to have you back, so here's a 30% discount coupon. And look, at some point, you don't have to keep going with that whole pyramid, but 2 or 3 times to try and get anybody at all from people who have not bought. Because any one of those who buys is a bonus. And so what does it cost you to run emails to your own database? Kind of nothing. So increase new products and services. Just simply introduce and launch new products and services. Let your database know that, hey, we're just launching this new product. We've got an early bird special for our current customers before we go out and, to the wide market. Again, the more new stuff you're bringing on, the greater chance you're actually going to sell or have more people buying. Okay. Number 6, increasing profit margin. So we talked 80-20. So we talked about at the start, let's remove the bottom 20% of customers. Go donate them to somebody else. Go say to them that, hey, it's been great dealing with you. I'm not sure that, you haven't bought from us in a while. I suggest you maybe go buy from here. There's many ways to do it, but if you look and say, what can you do to please the bottom 20% by having them go do something else, that can be a bonus to you. What can you do for the top 20%? Because there's where all your money's coming from. One of the things we do is ring them up and just say, great, thank you for being a customer. Now that alone makes you stand out. If you're an online store and you got a call, or you're a customer of an online store and you got a call from the store and basically said, hey, thanks for buying with us. You're a great customer. Go learn about them. Go find out what they like, what do they dislike. Ask them, is there anything about the website that you don't like? What about the whole process of buying? Is there just give me some feedback. Don't ask them to buy anything more. Just talk, and you'll find that you're just building loyalty. If there's some, random cool stuff, if there's something that comes up that you think, hey, this would be really cool, let's just make this offer just to our top 20% and tell them that this is only available, it's not available in our store, it's only available to you, you will sell a bunch of them. And you haven't spent a lot of money in advertising, so therefore your cost of sale is low. So again, increases profitability. Now, I said before that 80-20 sometimes doesn't work out as 80-20. It might be 99-1. But I like this one, which is the double 80-20 rule, which is 80-20, and then if you do an 80-20 of the 20, you end up with 16 and 4. So if you split your customer base into the 80% who are the bulk, the 16% who are great customers, and the 4% that are brilliant customers, so what are you going to do for the brilliant customers different to the ones that are great, that are different to the ones that are the bulk customers? And, again, ring them up, talk to them, find out what they're thinking. The opinion of that 4% is highly valued, let me tell you. Now, 80-20 applies to everything, advertising, inventory, pretty much every expense you'll ever have. So you can think about it a hell of a lot more widely. So what about a high-priced back-end product? So if you're selling a $50 product on average, let's say you're a fashion store and you've got $50 to $100 dresses and you've got accessories that are low priced, we'll start including some, say, high-end handbags that may be $300, $400. It's kind of like that slack adjuster idea that we spoke about. But again, just having a few of those products in the bag might get you some traction. If it's relevant and if it meets the need of your target and ideal client, then start to move in that direction. The more higher priced products you've got, okay, there's more inventory costs, so don't go and buy a lot of them, but test them out. You might find that the most higher priced products will offer much more of a margin than what you're currently getting. You want to increase profit margin, decrease expenses. So what can you do to outsource? What can you do to just decrease expenses overall? Can you get a lot of the work done cheaper? Can you get all your email support done by somebody in the Philippines or somebody in, in Florida right now because it's the wages are cheap. There's a lot of things. Texas. There's a lot of places in the US that are quite cheap to actually have services provided. If you're an entity, if you're not structured correctly, one, you've got an asset protection problem, but you're probably paying more tax than need be. And you'll see it that big companies, Apple, Google, Facebook, all do it. But what the media is not telling you is that anyone can do it, and it's not that expensive to set up internationally and to be structured internationally. So you could effectively be structured in a way that you're paying taxes, the appropriate taxes in the countries that you are dealing with, not necessarily the one that you live in. That we obviously are involved in a lot of that, so that may be of interest. Okay, number 7, increasing the retention rate. So if you can deliver higher than expected service levels, if you can deliver wow, if you delivered me the product and inside the product was a handwritten thank you note or just something that's a little different, that makes me remember you. And I'm more loyal to people that I remember, or businesses that don't annoy me, that are nice to deal with, easy to deal with, they're friendly on the telephone. Just get back to human communications. What can you do that humanises the client and therefore they're more likely to do business with you more often. Communicating frequently with customers, give people options. If they want to receive an email a day or every week or every month, give them the option of doing that. Otherwise, you'll find that if you over-communicate, people will opt out. But if you've got nothing to say, great, we'll learn to say something meaningful, give them good information. At the very least, ring them up and find out what they're interested in. And there's so much you can do there, but this is about human to human. And lastly, of our 8, increase the referral rate. So find out how can you allow a customer to refer one of their friends to you and then buy. Again, reduces your cost of advertising. So making referrals a condition of doing business, that, hey, You've made the sale. Now, can you refer three extra people to our store? This is the way we do business, blah, blah, blah. Can increase your sales dramatically, especially around generating leads. We run competitions where we give away a product. We get all these people that will refer all their friends because they all want to win the competition as well. So we're increasing our database really quickly. And when you're ringing people up, ask them for referrals. If they're your top clients, they'll be happy to do so. And it doesn't need to be a thing that you need to be shy about. You just need to say, hey, do you know anybody else like yourself that may be interested in receiving some of our materials? And lo and behold, here's a name and here's a name, and off you go. You've increased your referral rate. So that's the summary of the 8. The 8 things are hugely important. If you can just focus on building some sort of a tactic on each of the 8 and implementing it and getting an improvement out of all 8, you will look at your bottom line and go, wow, where was that money hiding all this time? Okay. The last 5 minutes before I close this tutorial out, but let's have a quick look at, if this is from our perspective, right? So if we're looking to buy a business or invest in a business, here's the ideal circumstances that we'd want to look for. We'd want to look at a company that basically hasn't figured out that if you have back-end sales, you'll actually make some money. So that they're completely focused on front-end products, which is basically 90-something% of online stores. They have one set of products, that's what they do. They don't have follow-up products. They don't sell something extra to people who have become clients. They just go, here's my store and here's what it is. We know we can make a lot more money out of that. People who advertise or direct mail is either ineffective or they don't do it at all. Again, there's a lot of people, there is no excuse nowadays to not be advertising on Facebook, AdWords, Instagram, YouTube. There are so many places to advertise now and be very targeted, but Facebook should be mandatory. It's really simple. Even if you're not, we would think that's a great thing. We know we could get some great traction immediately. Sales is not optimal. You're not looking at the sales process from end to end. You're not following these 8 things that we've just spoken about. You're not looking at it systematically and trying to improve it. That you're not actually looking at your past database. You're not mailing your database. You're not giving them offers. You're not trying to convert people who haven't bought before. Makes it ideal. We make money out of that. The owners or directors are not drawing compensation. Completely dumb idea. But if you're not drawing compensation, you're probably struggling. So we know that there's opportunity there. We want to invest in companies that are in a competitive market. You don't want niches that nobody's in. I could be in the dog grooming business. That's actually probably a big market, but it's a lot smaller than, say, just being in the pet business. So we would be more inclined to be in the pet business, not the dog grooming business. If your competitors tend to all advertise in a similar way, then again that gives opportunity to advertise in other ways to attract new customers. Is there opportunity for synergistic products? Can we add other products into the mix? Can we find other, can we bundle things? Can we package things? If there's pretty much every product, if you're selling cosmetic products, you could sell makeup bags because they're synergistic. That there's no key person. We don't want to have any business that is completely reliant on the skill of one person or a couple of people. That's generally a bad thing. So I probably should have put that in the avoid, shouldn't I? But anyway, hidden assets. That means that you're sitting on great product or great process or something, but you just haven't realised it yet. Now we only find that out in due diligence. But generally, if you look at your process, you'll start working out what are your leverage points, and generally your leverage points are your assets. We want a market where growth can be identified. We can easily look at it and say, hey, if I did this, this market will grow. This market is already growing, we want to be part of it. If you're already set up internationally, that's ideal. If you're not, that's still okay. It gives us opportunity that we can say, we can go set up internationally and suddenly, we're a lot more profitable straight away. Okay, to avoid, if you're heavily reliant on the owner as opposed to a key person, we don't want to be involved. The owner is, at the end of the day, the owner is the one selling, and therefore, if the business isn't going to work because the owner is not there, then that's a problem. If you've got really low profit margin on products and services, again, that's a problem. Unless we introduce new products that have more margin, that business is probably line ball. If it takes a long time to make a sale, if the process for actually engaging with a customer, advertising, finding them, getting them to buy something takes a long time, that's a business we'd want to avoid as well. If you're online and it takes a long time, then you really do have a problem. You really should have more lead magnets and tripwire products to build into those bigger, longer pipeline products. If your cash flow is lumpy, if you tend to spend it too quickly, again, we'd buy a business that is got good cash flow. Anything dishonest, unethical, uncommitted, of course, we'd want to be out. So if we find that, a business, this is what we generally find is somebody will say, my business is great and it does this and it does $300,000 profit per annum. And then you start to delve down and then find out that it did $300,000 5 years ago, but in the last 3 years it's been losing money. Then that's just completely dishonest. It's misrepresenting what the business is. If the owner is willing to misrepresent like that, then what else are they misrepresenting? And so, bad news. So, that's it. I'm going to wrap up. Hopefully this has been as enjoyable as it was for me to give it. I hope you've got some ideas and you can go forth and conquer, and you can come back and tell me how much you've actually made from these thoughts. So thanks, and I will catch you sometime soon in the world of the internet. Bye for now.